Why did you turn off the AC in Dad's room? The moment we arrived at the hospital where my Phil had been admitted for heat stroke, my husband Joseph started yelling at me. His mom had apparently briefed him beforehand, but the information was incorrect. Just when my son Mike and I were about to argue back, my FIL's condition suddenly worsened. Mill, who had been smirking a bit, turned pale. It was clear proof that she had been lying. My name is Hazel, and I'm 45. I live with Joseph, who is 5 years older than me, our son Mike, who is in 8th grade, and my in-laws, both 75 and in their twilight years. My Phil has needed care for several years now. I'm the one taking care of my Phil, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. Mill is also a stay-at-home mom, but completely avoids caring for her husband. These days, she doesn't even do household chores. She's too busy gallivanting around, and my Phil always looks apologetic. Hazel, I'm really sorry about my wife. I've tried talking to her, but she doesn't listen. I promise I'll have a serious talk with her soon, he assures me, but it doesn't change a thing. Mill still refuses to listen and lives solely for herself. She's a constant source of snide remarks. I wonder how many years it'll take for you to make something actually tasty. I wish you'd put yourself in my shoes, eating this terrible food day after day. When did you clean my room? Why is there so much hair all over the place? I've told you to separate my laundry from the others. How many times do I have to repeat myself before you get it? It's a constant parade of snide remarks like this, no matter how hard I try. She has no intention of acknowledging my efforts in cooking. As a stay-at-home mom, my Mill should take care of her own room. If she wants her laundry separated, she can just do it herself. I think this every time, but if I ever say it out loud, I can already see my Mill blowing her top. So in the end, I just have to do the housework as she says. Joseph, on the other hand, doesn't care about household matters. He's indifferent to the fact that I'm burdened with both chores and caregiving. My husband has been coming home late consistently for the past few years, and when he is home, all he does is complain. You're a stay-at-home mom. Have dinner ready when I want it, he snaps. The bathroom's not clean. Do it again. He just can't help but complain about everything he lays his eyes on. You think he comes home just to gripe? He's really that much of an egg. Concerning my dad's care, he even comments, "Isn't this costing too much? You're a Sam. Do more and spend less." But the expenses are covered by my FIL's pension. Plus, he wants to use public services. I don't want to burden you all the time, Hazel. If I go to adult daycare 3 times a week, you get some free time, right? My Phil once told me that with a smile. I'm pretty sure his feelings haven't changed. My husband, who's clueless about his dad's sentiments, almost seems to take pleasure in blaming me for things. So you may think I'm all alone, but that's not true. My son Mike is a big help. Even in the throes of adolescence, he actively helps with caregiving. He's a real emotional anchor for me. My Phil looks forward to his visits. Hazel, do you think Mike has time today? We didn't finish our last chess game, and I'd love to play him again, he says with a smile. Right? He did say he's off from his extracurriculars today. I'll let you know you'll come by when you find a good break in your studying. I reply with a warm smile. We've really been blessed to have Mike in our lives. As for Mike himself, he often comes out of Grandpa's room saying things like, "You know, Grandpa was apparently quite the ladies' man back in the day. I've seen his old photos, and he was really handsome. Wonder if I could be like that." Or dang it, lost to Grandpa in chess again. I thought I was doing well this time. Next time for sure. It's clear he enjoys spending time with his grandpa. Mike might even have better communication with his grandpa than he does with his own dad, my husband. Personally, I'd rather have him grow up to be like his kind and considerate Phil than end up like his useless, Complaining dad. Summer vacation arrives. Even though Mike's busy with activities, he has more free time compared to school days, so he visits his grandpa much more often. That also gives me some peace of mind. However, an incident occurs on a particularly hot day. It happened when I went out to do some grocery shopping. Today was unusual as my Mill was home, and Mike was also off from his activities. Even Phil had a day off from his adult daycare, making it a full house except for my husband. I decided to go grocery shopping for dinner in the early afternoon. At lunchtime, I told everyone, once I've cleaned up after lunch, I'll head out to shop for dinner. It's hot today, so I'm going to leave the AC on while I'm gone. I made sure to let everyone know. Going out in this heat, what a chore, huh? Mill scoffed. Mike offered to come along, but I told him, no, it's fine. Spend time playing chess with Grandpa if you've got time. Finally, Phil told me, it's hot out there. Be careful. My Phil said that as he kindly saw me off. And so, I went out alone for groceries. Boy, it was hot. As I was loading the groceries into the car in the supermarket parking lot, my phone rang. It was from Mike. Mom, rush to generic general hospital. Grandpa's been taken there for heat stroke. Heat stroke? In an air-conditioned room. I had more questions than answers, but I headed for the hospital right away. When I arrived, my Mill and Mike were already there. Soon after, my husband also arrived from work. He must have gotten some explanation from his mother because he started yelling as soon as he saw me. Hazel, why did you turn off the air conditioning in Dad's room? What? Why would I? I immediately retorted. Today, I had left the AC running in every room when I went shopping, knowing that my in-laws and Mike were home. They should have all heard that during lunch. Mill, I did tell you I was leaving the AC on, right? Yay. I think you mentioned it, but the AC in your FIL's room was off. He got heat stroke because of that. Wasn't it you who turned it off? My Mill said, with a sly grin on her face. It felt like she was hiding something. I felt that way. Just as Mike was about to say something, the treatment room where my Phil was got chaotic. What's going on? We all must have thought the same. Then, we heard that my FIL's condition had suddenly worsened. If Dad dies, know that this is all on you. My husband snapped at me, but my Mill's face turned pale. He won't die, right? She seemed really anxious. It was as if she was admitting that she was the one behind this. Right now, praying for my FIL's well-being was more important than confronting her. May God help him. Despite all of us hoping for the best, my Phil passed away. My Mill yelled at the doctors, is this all modern medicine can do? Give my husband back. My husband, trying to calm her, said, Mom, this is a hospital. Keep it down. And don't worry, we'll put all the blame on Hazel. He still thinks I'm the culprit, even with my Mill acting so strangely. Doesn't he find her suspicious? As he tried to console her, he turned to me. How could you do this to Dad? How are you going to take responsibility? You criminal? I didn't do anything to your father. I left the AC on. Why won't you believe me? Despite my desperate plea, my husband wouldn't listen. What are you blabbering about? Do you think I'll fall for that? Just admit you turned off the AC. My husband raised his voice further. I was at a loss for words. I was pondering what to do when no matter how much I argue, my point just won't get across. That's when our savior arrived. Mom didn't turn off the AC. Mike spoke up. After lunch, I went into Grandpa's room, and it was cool, but then a friend called, and I left. I didn't touch the AC. When I returned, Grandma was making a fuss because Grandpa had heat stroke. So, the AC was on when I left. Mike had more to say. Only Grandpa, Grandma, and I were home. If I say the AC was on, then Mom couldn't have turned it off. So, Dad, are you saying you don't trust me either? Mike said that to my husband. My husband responded, no, I trusted Mom. So you're saying she lied? Then who killed Dad? My husband seemed bewildered, taken aback by Mike's assertiveness. Mike spoke again. So there were only 3 people in the house, right? Grandpa couldn't have turned off the A/C himself. I was on the phone with my friend in my room, so no way it was me. So who's left? You mean it's my mom? My husband finally started to suspect his mother. She went pale, yet she still tried to fight back. It wasn't me. It was Hazel. Joseph, you're suspecting me. How could he not? She was sweating buckets, and her face was turning blue. It was anyone's guess whether my husband would believe Mike or still trust his mother. All right, I'll call the police. Saying that, my husband left the room. It wasn't clear who he would accuse, but it seemed like he'd made up his mind. Soon enough, the police actually arrived. Finally, take my mother away. She's the one who caused my father's death. My husband spoke so. Well, it figures. She shouldn't have told such an easily debunked lie. After that, we got caught up in funeral arrangements and paperwork for my deceased Phil. The 3 of us didn't get back home until after the funeral and cremation. By the way, Mill is still under investigation by the police. As for her, she's apparently saying at the police station, I never thought he'd die. I just wanted to have some fun bullying my daughter-in-law. My husband said that. When we finally got back home, I'm hungry, Hazel. Whip something up. My husband acted as if nothing happened. Why should I have to cook for you? I retorted coldly. He looked puzzled. What's got you so mad? Oh, are you mad about my mom lying? I've already turned her in, so get over it and make something. He didn't even apologize for suspecting me. Even if that weren't the case, I've already lost patience with my husband. For him to act like nothing's wrong and then ask for dinner is just too much. I went to my FIL's room and brought back 3 things. The first was a dossier on my husband. Been cheating for years. Huh? This has all the proof. You've left all the household responsibilities and caregiving to me while you were having fun. He snatched the file and started flipping through it, finding pictures of him with a younger woman, entering a motel. Mike, who'd been watching, muttered, "You're the worst, Dad." Then I presented the second item. Sign this. It's divorce papers. I'd already signed them. I had consulted with my FIL before, who had also signed them. His face turned paler. As for the divorce, I'll be taking alimony for the affair and custody of Mike. I added that. Lastly, there's a third item that can't be opened without a certain person present. However, I should let my husband know about it. There's a will from Dad. Let's open it later with a lawyer present. I told Mike to pack the essentials, and we left the house. At a later date, the will was unsealed in the presence of a lawyer. It read, I bequeath all my assets to my grandson, Mike. I appoint Hazel as the successor. Turns out, my FIL was pretty loaded. My husband must have had high hopes for the inheritance. However, the will stated that everything goes to Mike. Just for the record, this will is legally binding, drafted under legal supervision. Now my husband can only inherit the reserved portion of his dad's wealth, which he thought would be all his. I wasn't surprised, since I had heard about the will's content from my FIL when he was alive. My husband recently tried to claim custody of Mike, but the will also named a successor, so that's a no-go. And so my husband lost quite a bit in the end. After all this, we officially got divorced. He tried to wrestle custody of Mike, but with the help of lawyers, it was settled that I would have it. I also won alimony from my husband and the woman he was cheating with. I thought he'd marry his affair partner after divorcing me, but after losing his money, he got dumped. He'd apparently blown a lot of money on her and used the leftover inheritance to pay me alimony. So now, he's broke. Seems like karma caught up with him for neglecting me all these years. As for my Mill, she's been taken to court, and it's been decided that she'll be going to prison. Looks like she's going to be living behind bars for the foreseeable future. She claimed, I did nothing wrong. It's all my daughter-in-law's fault. At the trial, Beth showed no remorse, making a bad impression on the judge. Looks like she got a hefty sentence. It's gonna be tough for her, being 75 and living behind bars. As for us, I found a job in the neighborhood. Even though I got alimony and Mike inherited some wealth, you can't eat if you don't work, right? I've been hired as a part-timer, but there's a chance for a full-time position, so I aim to give it my all. I plan to use my FIL's inheritance to fund Mike's education. We're a two-person family now, but we'll pull together and make it work.